Today, I will be ranking every single Weezer album on a scale of 1 to 10. Here's how my rating system works. Each song will get a rating out of 10, and 0 to 1 is an awful song, 2 to 3 is a bad song, 4 to 5 is an alright song, 6 and 7 is a good song, 8 and 9 is a great song, and 10 is peak. Each song will get a rating out of 10, and the mean of all those numbers is the album score. We're going to start off 32 years ago in 1994 when Weezer released their debut album, Weezer. It's self-titled. Despite being their first album, this is often considered their best album, which we'll see if I agree with later on in the video and the overall ranking at the end. But I'm going to go through every album individually first in chronological order. Thus, here we are at the Blue Album. The Blue Album features 5 peak songs. Yes, I'm kind of a Weezer glazer, but hey, I have no defense. So the 10 out of 10 songs that stuck out to me was My Name is Jonas, The World Has Turned and Left Me Here, Undone, the Sweater Song, Surf Wax America, and In the Garage. I first listened to this album early last year after being shown a few songs by my brother. At first, No One Else and Only in Dreams were the ones that were not as appealing to me, but they grew on me over time. But since I first listened to the album, Surf Wax America has been my #1 song. The album is so consistent and consistently the #1 song, Surf Wax America, and the lowest rated song, which in this case for me is Only in Dreams, at a 6 out of 10. How my rating system works is anything above a 6 is on my playlist, so the album is really strong. So each song got a number out of 10. Then I added those all up, divided it by how many songs there were, and the mean resulted in the final rank, which in this case, the Blue Album got a score of 9.0 out of 10. We've reached peak. It's only downhill from here, Weezer. It'll be hard to follow up. Pinkerton. 2 years later, they had big shoes to fill. Their last album was so good and so well received, especially by me 30 years later. Wasn't even born for a while after the release, but I'm a big fan of 90s and early 2000s songs, so before my time, I guess. Pinkerton, in my opinion, started off pretty slow with Tired of Sex and Get You. Not a big fan of those ones, Get You being the worst song on the album in my opinion. It progressively got better with No One Else and Why Bother being songs that I found good, and then it was Great, From Across the Sea, and The Good Life, El Scorcho, Pink Triangle, Falling for You, all fantastic songs, 3 of those being 10 out of 10, El Scorcho being the 9. The album ended with Butterfly, which I felt was a step back. Not a bad song, I still liked it, it's on my playlist, but it didn't follow up compared from Pink Triangle and Falling for You. It dropped a little bit. The final score of Pinkerton was 7.4 out of 10. Still a good album, because again, it's the mean, and anything above a 6 is on my playlist, so it's a good album. Green Album. The Green Album features their most popular song, Island in the Sun. I mean, also, I'd throw Buddy Holly in there too, but Island in the Sun is one of their most well-received songs. Period. I don't know where I was going with that. At one point, Green Album was like, I thought it was like on the same level as Blue, which it's not, but I thought that for some reason. Similar to the Blue Album, every single song is on my playlist. So, very strong album. I do want to point out Crab, though, as the weakest link of all the songs. It's not bad. I like it. It's on my playlist. But I find a lot of these songs kind of tend to blend in together. Like, if you played, like, any Weezer song, I could tell you probably what album it is. And for the Green Album, it's pretty easy to do that, as a lot of the songs have a very similar kind of tone. When Pinkerton, they spread their wings a little bit more with that one. I do find it weird that they did name this album Weezer, another self-titled album. Like, and it didn't even have like bracket green album. It just said Weezer, like just like the Blue album. Later on, after the Red album, then they'll start putting brackets around like the Teal album, Black album, White album, whatever. But up to this point, they called it Weezer again. So I do find that a little bit of a, not a continuity error, but it's kind of annoying when I try to organize my Spotify playlist based on album, and they're all like shuffled around, mixed in together. So that's good fun. Island in the Sun being my favorite on the album, it's popular for a reason. Okay, call me a LARPer, whatever. It's popular for a reason. It's good. It's a really good song. It's peak. So Don't Let Go and Island in the Sun are the 10 out of 10s from that album.
Hello, it's me from editing here, and I don't know why I didn't say, but the score of the Green Album is 8.2 out of 10.
If you didn't notice, in my background I was trying to change the colors to the album I'm talking about, but I don't know what to do for Maladroit because I already did yellow and I already did green, so I threw in some blue and green, which you can't really tell. See? Anyways, Maladroit. Maladroit starts off with a banger of American Gigolo. Gigolo. It sits at a 9 for me, not a 10. It's very specific that, I don't know, something about it just like, it's just not enough. However, that is my favorite on the album. So this is the first Weezer album without any 10 out of 10 songs. The next closest is Love Explosion in the later half of the album, sitting at an 8. Space Rock, 4 out of 10, not on my playlist, not a fan. 4 isn't bad. I consider 4 to be alright. In the beginning of the video, I mentioned kind of how my rating system works. So 4 isn't bad, but it's still like it's alright. The album was nothing special. I did find it a little disappointing and a step back. One of my friends really loves this album, but I don't know. For me, it feels like they're past their prime, and it just felt like a step back. I know it kind of has like those different kind of sounding songs again, but I don't know. It just doesn't do it for me. Like, a lot of the songs are good, but like just good. Like American Gigolo and Love Explosion are the only 2 songs that really stuck out to me as great. But then throwing a few all rights and goods, it's just like it's a good album. So it sits at a 6.5 out of 10 for me, which isn't bad, but it's still a good album, but it was a step in the wrong direction. Make Believe. I don't know what else to say. Regarding the color lights in the background, we're losing the plot here, man. I can't turn off all the lights and make it all black because there's a black album later on, so I don't know what to do here. Make Believe for me was a step in the wrong direction again. They took 2 steps back here. It starts off good with Beverly Hills. That's again one of their more popular songs, but the rest of the album is just kind of like nothing else really happens in it. It's all the songs are all right. There's a few good ones and a few bad as well, which I will touch on. The first bad song on a Weezer album I listened to comes here, where it is This Is Such a Pity. I gave it a 3, so 3 is like the better end of bad. It's still a bad song, but it's not like almost terrible bad. It's just bad. And then Haunt You Every Day, which is my personal least favorite on the album, sitting also at a 3 out of 10. It closes out the album in such a horrible way. I don't really know, like, the way of making an album, make it all, like, this is the exact order of things. It's just kind of like, they're all just, like, songs. Like, it's nothing like Pink Floyd where they have a purposeful ending and closing or whatever, or other artists. But I feel like Weezer just kind of, like, gets a bunch of songs, put them together, and I don't really pay attention to the story. It's just, like, either the music sounds good or bad. Like, I'm a very simple man when it comes to that, which is probably a bad thing, and I probably will work on that in the future to be more crazy with the way I think about music, but for now, yeah, not great. The album is our first all-right album, sitting at a 5.2 out of 10. So, once again, a step in the wrong direction. We'll see if they can change things up in the next album. The Red Album. I like the colored albums idea of like having it go like all the more all the songs in the Red Album are more like kind of like grungy, like angry, like Inside Out anger guy. Like that's kind of what that reminds me of. I kind of like that fitting. I feel like Hash Pipe from the Green Album should be in the Red Album just the way it sounds. But I didn't make it. I'm not in charge. I just listened to it. The Red Album has no peak songs as well for me, but there is a 9 and an 8 out of 10. The 8 being Pork and Beans, and the 9 being Dreamin'. Dreamin' is so close, it's this close to being a 10. It's just one part kind of like at the end. It kind of sounds like Green Day, which I used to really love Green Day, now they're kind of like whatever to me. But like it's good, but it's like, it's not Weezer, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know, I couldn't, you know? But Dreamin' is still a really good song. I love it. It's a great song. Not a 10. Very close to being the worst song on the album, but not quite, is The Greatest Man That Ever Lived, sitting at a 3. So another bad song, but it gets worse. Most of the songs are all right in the second half, but after Dreamin', it just like falls off a cliff. It goes from 9 to a 4. Thought I Knew, I consider a 4 out of 10. But it gets worse, because Cold Dark World sits at a 3, and then we go back to a few alright songs, and then boom! Miss Sweeney is our first bad Weezer song. Those words don't blend together very nicely. Bad Weezer song? Ugh, doesn't sit right. But yeah, Miss Sweeney is a 2 out of 10 song for me. It's just not good. Like, it doesn't sound good. Like, I don't know how to make these videos, man. I'm just yapping. The Red Album sits at a 4.8 out of 10. Another step in the wrong direction. We'll see if Raditude can change that. I think that's the next one. Raditude. Raditude. I had very low expectations coming into this album. I did see like a ranking every Weezer album, like just like an article or whatever. And this was one of the worst ones, so I had very low expectations coming into it. But it broke all expectations. Well, at least the first song did. The album starts off with, if you're wondering if I want to, I want to. If you're wondering if I want to, I want to. The first song on the album is, if you're wondering if I want you to, I want you to. A little bit of a mouthful there. The first time I listened to that, I was like, okay, I can maybe get into this. And then I was like, actually, wait, this is really bad. And then I was like, wait a minute, this is... And then I was like, wait a minute, this is good. And I was like, wait a minute, this is great. So I covered all the bases here with this song. I listened to it enough times to finally settle on a number, 9 out of 10. The more like talking parts in the song, you'll have to listen to it. I can't play the song because of copyright, but like for the song, it kind of sings for a part, and then he kind of like talks, and then he's like, then the music stops. Whatever, I'll just play a short clip of it. I was next to you, and you were right there next to me, then I said... And then it kind of goes back to singing, which kind of like set me off at first, but then I grew on it, because the song tells a story, and I'm not much of a story listener when it comes to songs. Either it sounds good or it doesn't. But this one, I felt it really did it for me. Like, I don't know, it was good. No, it was great. It was great. The rest of the album is pretty alright, with sprinkling a few good songs and sprinkling a few bad songs. The first bad song on the album that's my least favorite is Love Is the Answer, Hindi version. I don't really like music when it like talks another language. Like, I don't know, if I can't understand what they're saying, then it's like, I don't know, I can't jam out to this. I can't sing along if I don't know the language that they're singing in. If you got rid of the Hindi part, then it'd be a good song. That's gonna look really bad out of context. Yet another step in the wrong direction for Weezer. Will they ever make a good album ever again?
Hello, it's me from the future. Editing guy is back. The album scored 4.5 out of 10.
So Death to False Metal started off with a very promising start with Turning Up the Radio. I really like it. Thumbs up. 8 out of 10. Great song. And then it goes slightly lower to I Don't Want Your Lovin'. Still a good song, but it's green. And then it falls off. The last 8 songs on the album are bad to all right. It just like what happened? What happened, guys? You had such a promising start and they just kind of like lost it all. The 2 main problems I have is Everyone and Trampoline. Those are the 2 bad songs. I want to focus on Trampoline because that's a 2 out of 10 song. Really close to being like an awful song, which we've only had 1 of so far. It didn't gain or lose ground over the previous album, over Raditude, but it was kind of the same level. Like it was less songs that got added, but more like mediocrity than bad. Like it stuck more as like alright. So that left the album at a 4.5 out of 10. So same ranking as the last one, but as Raditude. But it just what happened, Weezer? You had such a promising beginning, and they just kind of lost it. They lost their momentum after the first 3 albums. They've just been downhill since. So I'm really waiting. They're really due for a good album. This is kind of when I started to fear, like, will Weezer ever make a good album ever again? Am I digging myself a grave? Are these albums becoming too much for me? Am I not a Weezer fan? Do I just like a little bit of Weezer songs? I'm going to be the first person in history to ever say this, but Hurley is a good album. The first 4 songs all sit at a 7 or a 6, so all really good songs. And then 2 songs like 5 and 4 that are like alright, back to good, and then we're at great. The best song on the album, Smart Girls. At first I was like, okay, this is like good, like it's no more than good. But the more I've listened to it, the more it's grown on me. So, good song. Great song. I like it. And then it goes downhill again. So then we have another alright song, and then the worst song on the album, which is Time Flies at the very end, which dropped the rating to 5.9 out of 10. That's what Hurley got. And it was like so close to being like a good album. Like good as in above a 6, 6.0 and above, following like the music individual rating. If it's above a 6, it's good. So the Hurley sat at a 5.9 out of 10, and Time Flies just dropped it. Why'd you have to add that last song, man? It was kind of weird. On Spotify, it only has the deluxe version, not the original. So I just like listened to just the original. I didn't listen to any deluxe albums or any singles. I just purely listening to the original album release, which I forgot to specify about a long time ago. Should have said that earlier in the video. I feel like Hurley went back to Weezer's old school sound. Especially I noticed that in the first 4 songs that were good. And it was a nice change of pace from Death to False Metal and Raditude, the previous few albums that just kind of like lacked Weezer's identity, I feel, which like doing that Hindi version in Raditude, and there was another mix in there somewhere. So I was kind of it was a breath of fresh air despite it only being a 5.9. I feel it was a good album, pretty much. 4 years later, we got this. I was really hoping after Hurley, Weezer would find their identity again, and then they waited 4 years to release another album, and then it was this. As per usual, Weezer started off the album with a good song. Ain't Got Nobody, I gave that a 6. And then we had a few all-rights in a row. I've had it up to here, another good song, and then the album reached its very, like, not the opposite of good, the opposite of peak, the opposite of apex. It was the worst part of the album. The British Are Coming and Da Vinci, both 3 out of 10s, Da Vinci being the worst one. And then we go back to good, Go Away as a 6. The feature in that song kind of threw me off at first, because I'm not used to Weezer having features on songs, but then it was a nice change there. And then a few more alright songs later, we get to some interludes. These are the first interludes that Weezer had in an album, which made it feel more like more of a project than an album, which I'm just using another fancy word to say album, but So part 1, The Wasteland. Part 2, Anonymous. Part 3, Return to Ithaca. I don't know how to pronounce that. I didn't count Anonymous as an interlude because it had actual like lyrics and it was an actual song. I don't think it counts as an interlude, but I don't know what people count or not count as an interlude, but I had part 1 and part 3 as interludes, but Anonymous, the middle one, I really liked. That was the best song on the album, 8 out of 10. But it was like stuck in between interludes and kind of lost in an overall alright album. Everything Will Be Alright in the End sits at a 5.1 out of 10. So, what happened, Weezer? We waited 4 years for what? So Weezer has gone back to their color-coded albums, maybe as a change of pace from all the previous mid that we've gotten. But we are in Weezer White Album now. So, and now it actually has the brackets. So it says Weezer, bracket, White Album, closing bracket. So, new era. On first listen, I really was not a fan of this album. But that's what second listens are for. At the end of my first listen, I had no songs added to my playlist. I'm like, surely Weezer would never do this to me. Surely there's going to be at least one. So on second listen, I had California Kids, the best song on the album, first. Again, I don't know, Weezer has a theme of the first songs being good. But whatever. California Kids, favorite on the album, 7 out of 10, which isn't very high, but for a first listen of having no songs added, I'll take a 7. And then we have another rough stretch, I'll say. Thank God for Girls, Girl We Got a Good Thing, and Do You Want to Get High. All bad songs, the worst one being Thank God for Girls, 2 out of 10. I'm not trying to say anything, but it's just not a good song. It's not a good song. It's nothing to do with the lyrics. Girls are awesome. And then we're back on the up. We have King of the World as alright, but then we had Summer, Elaine, and Drunk Dory, and LA Girls, both good songs. And then Jacked Up, alright, 4 out of 10, and then Endless Bummer, 6 out of 10. Not a great album by any means. In fact, it's a 4.6 out of 10. That rough stretch of bad and a bunch of alright sprinkled in between, just it kills it. If I did my first listen rating, if I didn't listen to it a second time, it would be much worse. So, if anyone out there likes the White Album, 4.6 is good. I want to start off by saying the best Weezer album cover is given to this. Pacific Daydream, what a phenomenal album cover. Unfortunately, it's hidden behind a bunch of bad songs. That's not totally true. I just know a lot of people don't like this album. I think I might be one of few people on this earth that finds this album tolerable. In fact, it's better than a lot of recent Weezer stuff. There's only one song on this album that I find bad, and that's Feels Like Summer, 2 out of 10. This song, well, sure, we'll do a Grinds My Gears segment, alright? This song sounds like AJR. I need no more words. It's really bad. I don't know what they were going for. I don't know who their target audience for this was, but this wasn't Weezer. And it was AJR. We went from my favorite artist to one of my least favorite artists. I don't know what they were doing. Just don't listen to it. Just take my word for it. It's a bad song. If you ever listen to Pacific Daydream, unlikely, but if you ever do, skip it. But that's the only song on the album that I found bad. I found 2 songs alright, Happy Hour and QB Blitz. There are still 7 songs left on this album that aren't bad or alright, which means everything else is good or better. Coming into this, I thought this was going to be one of the worst things ever made. But Mexican Fender, Weekend Woman, Sweet Mary, and La Mancha Screwjob are the 4 songs that are good, which leaves 3 more songs that are great or better. Regarding the 4 good songs, I want to speak on Sweet Mary. That one was so difficult to put a number on. It could have been anywhere between a 2 or an 8. I had no idea. That was, out of all the albums I've listened to, that was probably one of the hardest songs to rate ever. I had no idea. After 5 listens, I still couldn't put a number on it. but finally I settled on 7. So good job, Pacific Daydream. You got me, I guess. So the 3 songs that are great, there's no peak. We still have yet to get a peak Weezer song in a very long time. But Beach Boys, Get Right, and Any Friend of Diane's. Coming into this album, I only knew the Beach Boys song, not the band. It's crazy how the Beach Boys is one of the best songs on a Weezer album. They're just big fans. They had to make a song about an artist, so I guess they're that deep in the hole. They got to make songs about other bands. Like, I don't know. But honestly, great song. I like it. But my favorite on the album, Get Right, also 8 out of 10, and Any Friend of Diane's, also 8 out of 10. But Get Right has the slight edge. Yeah, I was pleasantly surprised with this album. It gave me, I was expecting something, a fate worse than death. Like, I don't know, based on some of the reviews I heard, but it was actually really good. So pleasantly surprised. 6.3 out of 10. Hot take, but 6.3 out of 10. I don't know where to start. Blue Album is good, so Teal Album must be good too. I was naive, to say the least. We'll start with the good. So, if you don't know, Teal is Weezer's album that is only covers. They only did covers of songs. So after consistently bad albums made by Weezer, I guess they thought, I guess we gotta steal other people's songs. It's a sinking ship, I guess. So we'll start with the good. There is one song out of the 10 covers that I find better than the original. That's already a hot take, but when I say the song title, it will be even crazier. And my answer is Billie Jean. No, I'm kidding. Everybody Wants to Rule the World. I like Weezer's version better than the original. Yeah, I know it's a hot take. Sue me. But honestly, that's the truth. No, I don't know. Anyway, so there was a lot of good songs, actually. I didn't mind a lot of the covers. Africa, Sweet Dreams, Happy Together, and Paranoid are all good songs. Not better than the original, but it was good. And the rest are alright, except for Billie Jean is bad. That was an absolute disgrace to Michael Jackson, and they owe him an apology. It was an insult to hear Billie Jean by Weezer. Stick to MJ. I don't have much else to say about the Teal album other than 5.3 out of 10, which actually isn't too bad, but the fact that they have to rely on other songs to have an alright album is not a good sign. The Black Album. Yeah, I turned off all the lights. It's just my monitor that's glowing. I didn't know any of the songs from the Black Album coming into this, so I was a little bit worried. If I was going to describe this album in one word, it would be mid. The highest song is a 7 and the lowest is a 4. So, not a lot of range as far as number ratings goes. So all the songs that scored 7 or 6 is my favorite on the album, Living in LA. And then that's a 7, and that's the best. So, again, not a good look. I'm just being honest, too many thoughts in my head, and The Prince Who Wanted Everything, those 3 are also good, and then the rest of the songs are all 4 or 5s. My least favorite one is Zombie Bastards. It's a 4, like it's still alright, but I had to pick one. I basically like threw a dart blindfolded to choose my least favorite, because they were all just like kind of whatever. And I just want to talk about the album cover for a second. Who thought that this was tough? Okay, whose idea was this? This is not it, man. All I gotta say is nothing of this album really stuck out besides the awful album cover. 5.1 out of 10. Out of all my previous hot takes, this will probably be the hottest. Van Weezer is a good album. I said it. Weezer has got another good album, which is crazy. I never thought I'd see the day. I never thought I'd see the day where Weezer has a good album, ever since Green Album. The album starts off with Hero, 10 out of 10 song, and it ends with Precious Metal Girl, my personal favorite, 10 out of 10. There's not too much of a theme going on here with the album because Precious Metal Girl is more of a slower song, I would say, and then Hero is very fast-paced. So again, I feel like Weezer just gets a bunch of songs and just puts it into an album and doesn't think too much about the story. But again, I don't really pay attention to the story, so I could be just yapping. Everything in between the two 10 out of 10 songs is all pretty good. All the good ones is the only other great song. And the only two alright songs is Blue Dream, my least favorite, and One More Hit. All the other songs are 7s except for She Needs Me, which is a 6, which are all on my playlist. So I was concerned about Van Weezer. Again, they had to rely on Van Halen or another band to thrive. So again, another giant red flag for Weezer, but they're old now, so they can do whatever they want. 8 out of 10 songs on a Weezer album are on my playlist. I never thought I'd see the day ever again. Van Weezer gets a 7.1 out of 10. Okay, Human. I don't know how to do these intros anymore. There is one song on this album that is great, and that's Here Comes the Rain, which surprised me, because the only song I knew coming into this was All My Favorite Songs, which I'm pretty sure is more of a popular Weezer song. I didn't think there'd ever be a popular Weezer song released past the year of like 2005, so this is monumental. So All My Favorite Songs got a 7. I feel like I overplayed it when I was first getting into Weezer, and then that kind of like dropped it a little bit. But overall, still a good song. Bird with a Broken Wing is a 6 out of 10. That's the only other good song, and the rest are all right, with an exception of Alu, Gooby, and Numbers. And there is another interlude. Everything Happens for a Reason. That is a good interlude. It perfectly transitions into Here Comes the Rain. I wish it was just kind of like part of the song. Maybe then Here Comes the Rain will get a 9 or higher. There's some good Weezer songs still out there. They're still making some good stuff. Not a lot, but there's some. So this was the last album I listened to complete their discography. There still are a few released past, but I listened to it before. So this was where I realized Weezer peaked in their debut album. After that negative note, I'll continue saying OK Human is a very clear spin-off of OK Computer, which once again Weezer is relying on another band to have a potentially good album, and this album doesn't even come close to OK Computer. Good job, Weezer.
Voiceover again, the album scored a 4.8 out of 10.
I did change the light color, by the way. Again, I will continue to bring this up because this matters to me. So the Seasons series begins. Weezer decided, hey, because we can't make good albums anymore far apart, let's make 4 albums in 1 year. It didn't work. They weren't good. Each of these Seasons albums have 7 songs, so when there's an album with less songs in it, it tends to get a higher rating because the mean is still all the things added together divided by how many songs there are. And so 7 could be a good thing or a bad thing. In this case, I feel like it was a good thing, but we'll get there eventually. So Spring has 2 great songs, which was a very pleasant surprise because the only one I knew from any of the Seasons albums coming into this was Wild at Heart, which got a 7. But the 2 great songs are A Little Bit of Love and The Sound of Drums. Both 8 out of 10s. Really good. And The Garden of Eden, right in between the two, was a good song. But the worst song on the album is Opening Night, which is the first song on the track list. So Seasons Spring sits at a 6.1 out of 10, which is a pleasant surprise. Summer, the best season of the year. Not the best album on the Seasons series by Weezer. There are only 2 songs that cracked the playlist, being Records, 7 out of 10, my favorite, and Thank You and Good Night, 6 out of 10. And the rest were alright. 5s and 4s all around. Cuomoville got a 4, being my least favorite. Summer just kind of sits at a, whatever, a lot of mid. Again, the range is only between 4 and 7, so another generally mid album, but because there's less songs, this album gets a 5.1 out of 10. Throughout all the albums that I listened to by Weezer prior to this one, there has been not a single album where there hasn't been at least one song that was on my playlist. That was until now. Yeah. So there's not a single bad song on this album. It's just they're all 4 and 5. This is the definition of all right, according to my ranking. So the best song on the album is Run Raven Run, the last one. And the worst on the album is the song right prior to that, Tastes Like Pain. By definition, this is an alright album, according to my ranking. But definitely the weakest album by Weezer I've listened to. Sitting at a 4.4 out of 10. I don't know if anyone was noticing this, but I was putting on clothes according to the season, so I don't know why I wasted so much time doing that for these horrible albums. The final SZNZ album and Weezer's most recent album released in 2022. So Winter has 2 songs that are good, and the rest are alright. So again, no bad songs, but it's just Weezer's just stuck in an unhealthy mediocrity. So the 7 out of 10 song being the best is Dark Enough to See the Stars, and the other good song is The Deep and Dreamless Sleep. The rest are all 4s and 5s. My least favorite song being Basketball, sitting at a 4 out of 10. I don't know what to say about these albums. They've just been mid for so long. But these are like the definition of like mediocrity. Weezer stuck in the mushy middle. No bad songs, no great songs. They're just whatever. I don't know what else to say other than 5.0 out of 10. So that is it. That is all the albums that are currently released. In conclusion, there are a lot of Weezer songs that did make my playlist, and they are still my favorite artist. All in all, I still like Weezer. They're still my favorite band. Weezer has really good songs hidden in the midst of bad albums, which is kind of unfortunate. People are missing out on some really good Weezer stuff. So I recommend you check out my playlist. Link in the description, self-promo. It's a link to my playlist of all the Weezer songs from all these albums that I've mentioned that are on my playlist. I will update it when a new Weezer album comes out. If another Weezer album comes out, I will update it. Thanks for watching. See ya.